Okay, folks, good morning. And I see something that I already need. I don't have any water. Okay, well, we'll come back for that. But we got some things here. We've got a completely clear space. All this has been picked up. And yeah, I put the Pacific stuff away for a little bit. But having these airplane models that have been sitting not painted for a while. Got this IL-16 and this Spitfire, and we're going to do some washing this morning. And basically, what it'll do is it'll take something like this, like the Sherman. This is a die-cast Sherman by Corgi, and we took it apart and everything, and it's just been primer black and has some olive drab on it, just a base color with a little bit of modulation on it. And when you're done with it, it looks dirtied up. And then, of course, we'll bring it up from that. But we're going to have to wash. There's another one of these half tracks that'll make 4 that I have with these Corgi things, which are almost perfectly for 1/72nd scale. These are more 1/76th, but, you know, I mix them together. The old King Kong that's unfortunately can't be in the Pacific. They didn't use any of them in the Pacific at all. So they have plenty of ships with guns much bigger than that, I guess. Good morning, just watching a little live session, pass the time. The Figure Deep Dive. Hello, stranger. I've been right here. Went from painting almost every night until only on the weekends, and this weekend only one day of the weekend. And the Spitfire and the IL-15, which, you know, we didn't do any masking on it. I'm not an airbrush expert, and I never will be, but I'm decent, and I'm really good at correcting things with a paintbrush. So we're going to give this thing a wash, and same thing with the Spitfire. The colors, I mean, they're like perfect. You know, I looked at a lot of different things online as far as what the colors are. His is the ridiculous. We need to clean some of that black up. We had some overspray on the white. Probably going to need to bring the white up more before we're done with it. But once you could put a wash on it, it changes it a little bit. Yeah, this is English uniform from Vallejo and U.S. dark green, and it's like exactly the color it should be. And this is the A pattern, which is the one that's Spitfires came in A and B, and they may have had different ones, but at least the early ones had A and Bs. So that means every Spitfire, and I believe it had to do with a serial number. So like all the serial numbers of one type, like odd numbers, were all one pattern, and one was with the other pattern. So you can't you can do whatever you want, but you'd be wrong. So they literally had like stencils and whatever in the factory, and it's a hard line camouflage. So so that's this one here. And yeah, so the first thing we need to do is we need to put something to protect this, because we don't want to have to clean this thing up all the time. So let's get something that doesn't look like an eyesore. That's going to be distracting. Yeah, I have not been doing much painting. I did yesterday. I did a lot of airbrushing, and sometimes you need to take things with a grain of salt when you suggest colors, because if you look at the colors that they suggested for the Walrus, and the paint scheme that I'm looking for is based on the one that was on the Sheffield, off of Old Shiny. Let me show you a picture of it, see if I can find it relatively quickly. Should remember what date it is. I got more pictures than. It's before we went to Europe. Okay. This is the pattern that I'm looking for. Okay, this is from instructions off ScaleMates. Okay, that's what we're going for on the Walrus. So I color matched or I want the suggestions to match the Humbrol to the underside color. So there's the underside. Okay, and of course, as you add more layers to it, it becomes darker and lighter and lighter. You know, it has more color to it. And then I painted it in the first color that ends up being Vallejo green gray, which is like, it looks really good. I mean, it just has a hint of green to it. This is giving you too much kickback. You know, we did some lines on it, like it looks like it's faded. And then I went and painted the other color, which was the London Gray Vallejo, and you can hardly see it. So I'm going to do my own take on it. Actually, I think I'm going to actually give it a wash and see if it separates the colors a little bit. And if not, then I'm going to go with my own interpretation of it. Maybe not as dark as Panzer Gray, but somewhere between this and Panzer Gray. So, because it doesn't look right. I don't care if that's the right color, it doesn't look right. This looks right. You know, this doesn't look right. So, that gray anyways. So, anyhow, I always thought that Matchbox and Airfix, and I make this mistake a lot, that Matchbox and Airfix are the same company. Maybe both because both used to be British. I don't know. But the Matchbox models are definitely more basic than the Airfix. This thing, and I'm sure there's old Airfix and new Airfix. This is a relatively new Spitfire. The detailing on the panel lines is incredible. I was looking at this when it was sprayed just the dark earth, and it's got some amazing crisp panel lines on it. So we're gonna make all those things pop. But I wanted to show you this. This is to be continued. And no, we're not gonna add the little cross beams with the. No, that's. I don't want to hate my hobby. Okay, so, and what do we got? We got the contacts in, so, yeah, so lately, the last couple of weeks, I've been really frustrated with my vision. I'm turning into a bit of a clumsy fuck, especially when I have any kind of glasses or whatever. And not to a great degree, but enough to a degree that it bothers the hell out of me. So, the airbrushing session I had yesterday, I had to spray white on this thing, and the top to this, I was squeezing it in the airbrush. The airbrushing actually went okay, but I went to squeeze it, and the whole top of it blew off and went into the airbrush cup. And then I had to clean up a mess, which wasn't a huge mess, but I had to stop what I was doing. I had to stop what I was doing and work on that, and that's not exactly what I want to do, is, to be fixing things, but it happens. And I don't know where the top went. So this cold white has no top on it. I literally don't know where it went. I'm not going to worry about it. Fuck it, I'll buy another paint. I don't care. Did I see Desk Darken's Far East Terrain? I watched a little bit of it, and I wasn't inspired by it. To be honest with you, it was very distracting that the piece of terrain had a lot of like right angles to it. I found it very distracting. But this is just my personal opinion. I got the palm trees ready to go, and I got a container for all the palm trees. I got 4 containers to put all the palm trees away. So I've got somewhere to put them. So that'll be coming up shortly. I don't know how long I'll be on here, but these have been sitting here I've had these built for over a year, and I need to get them out of the place where they were at. So I need to find a brush that I'm not at odds with. Maybe this one. I did watch a couple of his videos, and that's what was the first thing. It was really distracting of having the well, I know this can pop off. So I'm going to probably be hopping around a lot. Maybe not necessarily today, maybe today. But in the future, I'm probably going to be hopping around a lot from thing to thing. They even had a thing that I saw when I was going to bed last night, that the place in Tampa was, the spray gunner place was running an event where people were bringing their modified die casts. And I'm like, dude, man, you should have let me know. I mean, I would have driven all the way down there for it, but, so I sent him some pictures of my Gasland stuff. I mean, there's some amazing people that do die cast things. I didn't see any of those in those pictures there. But there are some amazing people that, I remember this guy had this vehicle, and I want to say it was a Volkswagen van, one of those ones from the 70s or whatever. And they had drawn on the whole top of it with they claim with what do you call that thing? Hey, what's up, Hoffman? With a claim with a permanent marker. Like they drew a bunch of like little, imagine like a tower of skulls. Something like a tower of skulls, but it was just a bunch of little skulls all over the place. Like it was basically covered in it. Two-dimensional, just like art. And it is really, really good, but I got better skills with a paintbrush than I do with a pen. Only because I feel like you can control the thickness of the line with a paintbrush. With a pen, it's whatever the line is, and there's nothing you can do about it. That's the width that's going to be, and you're stuck with that. And I almost feel like it's almost like you're skating on ice, because a permanent marker has a relatively hard end, that you're drawing on. So you're not making full. I don't know. It just doesn't flow like a paintbrush. But some of that stuff online was just really, really inspirational. So another Sherman, like we need another one like a hole in our head. Well, at least I'm not doing Panzers galore. Like those people that I see on Facebook Marketplace, people are always trying to sell models or whatever, and none of them are priced well, but it's just entertaining to see what people have bought too much of. And there was literally this guy that had like 40 models of tanks, and he was trying to sell them. They're 1/35th scale, whatever. I'm not interested in them, but all of them were German tanks. I mean, at what point do you realize, that you're a wearable? It's, you need other nations, man. And no, I'm not going to make this for the Marines because I don't want to give them an M4A3. They can get the M4A2s, and yes, they used M4A3s later, but the Army can't use M4A2s. And I'm not, I don't have any Marine troops, and not really in a hurry to paint them. But I've been so exhausted from work that I have definitely taken what's the word to say? What's the least path of least resistance when it comes to the hobby in the last couple weeks? Definitely. So if there's something easier to do, that's what I'm going to do. That's why I haven't been on here, just to that, and the time goes by too fast when I'm doing this, especially when I'm filming it with you guys. Well, I airbrushed these 4 things yesterday, and it probably took me 4 hours to do that, with the different steps. And it's like, man, I want my weekends to feel like they're a little longer than that. The last thing I need is a weekend that feels really, really short. Okay, so this one's done. This one was already done from before. All right, underneath there, half in tracking. Yeah, so I was talking about that enlisted game, and I decided to look up what some of the maps are. And that map that I was talking about that was in a built-up area apparently is a new map. I didn't know because I newly played that. I mean, I guess even though it was probably 6 months ago, but I guess it came out this year in December or something like that. And it was for Burma, and it's like a built-in. I don't know, it's supposed to be downtown Rangoon or something like that, but it's a big city with like civilian vehicles and stuff in it. So I do have that. Like it's almost like a Ford utility van. It's a Ford coupe, but it's got nothing to it that can get painted up. And then I got a really old, like a real uppity looking car. I don't know exactly what it is. I don't know that it's a doozy, but something like that. It looks like almost something like if Cruella de Vil ended up having like somebody that drove her around, what vehicle that would be, because it's like it's a much larger. I'll show it to you in a second. I think I know where it is. It's green. Of course, it'll be repainted. It's green and metallic, but I think that would have some kind of a use. But I have to do this and let it dry, so it's like no point in putting that off. So I'm probably going to build a model after this while these things are drying, because that's really what I feel like doing. Been trying Men of War Assault Squad games. I really suck at them. Yeah, sometimes things are too much. There's one of those that I played, and I didn't realize I had played it before. I played the demo, and it was many years ago. Of course, it's been out for many years, but I played one of them. I want to say it was Men at War 2, and I'm playing it, and it's a cursed scenario. I'm like, all right, man, I'm all in that. And the Soviets get T-34-85s as all of their T-34s. I'm like, I'm out. I did actually end up playing it a little bit before. I remember playing it. And I'm like, no, I'm out. Some of those they move too fast for you to enjoy all the stuff. Like, okay, you can go and you can shoot somebody. You can go and loot their body and take their weapons and, put helmets on if your guys don't have helmets, etc. You can't do that within the scope of the game. It's like you're constantly putting out fires. It's the little Dutch boy game. You come over here. I'll go take care of that. All right, leave these guys here. Stay right here. I'll be right back. And you go and deal with something else. The next thing you know, they're getting attacked. And it's like, oh my god, this is like work, but I'm not being paid. The little Dutch boy games. You got 10 fingers and 11 holes kind of thing. I've been playing the War Thunder, and Don got me into that. And it's like, oh, you got to do this grind for this ship. And a Friday night, I was falling asleep. I really was falling asleep. I wanted to go to bed like in the middle of the afternoon, really. But I stayed up until like I got to grind for this ship because they give you like a day to do all these tasks. So you need to get this many points using this level ship to be able to unlock and maybe get an award. And what I realize is War Thunder doesn't give away shit. World of Warships gives away lots of stuff. War Thunder doesn't give away crap. They make you work for it, and then when they give it to you, you get just junk. They want you to buy real money and then use that to buy things that you haven't earned. I'm like, doesn't really work for me. But anyhow, so I couldn't take it anymore. I'm like, screw this, screw this. I had to get 45,000 points or whatever, and I was like at 30,000. I just couldn't take it anymore. I can't do this anymore. I'm going to bed, thinking it's gone. I come in the morning and it's actually good until 7:30 yesterday morning. So I grinded a little bit more, didn't get to it. Basically, I have nothing to show for it other than unlocked a bunch of stuff not that much stuff, but You know, as much as I like naval ships, that game is extremely boring. You're either range estimating and doing all the range estimating yourself, which is pretty intensive. It's a lot of work. And the problem is the follow shot. Like the range estimating part is fun, but then like you fire and you got to wait sometimes 30 seconds for the shells to land. Well, you're not going to do that. You're constantly putting out shells. Well, the next thing you know, you're trying to figure out what the range is going to be to where the ship is when 30 seconds from now. It's like, so if you're closing, you basically have to aim like it's going to be a lot closer you're going to be a lot closer than you are and just hope for the best. Anyway, it's a lot of work. And the other one is just point and click. You're literally just clicking and you're doing nothing. Not until you get the range gets down really close to like 3,000 or 4,000 yards where you can actually like, work somebody over. Like there was an Atlanta or whatever, and I wanted to take out its turret, so it was just walking the fire down. And the shot was taking like 7-8 seconds to land. That was kind of reasonable at that point. But 30 seconds, it's in such a high, it's completely indirect at that range. Anyways, I'm not grinding anymore. I'm going to do what I want to do, and if it works with something that they want to supposedly give me a prize or something, well, that's cool. But I'm going to do what I wanted to do. So I wanted to flush out some British planes. I knew I was going to paint the Spitfires. So I wanted to get excited about playing some British planes, and been working on the Japanese. I was playing some Messerschmitts with Don. It's a lot of fun playing with a real wingman you can just talk to. So that's a good way to describe those games. What model you thinking about building? Working on Chinese Project 3. Project 2 turned out really well using... I think I've got a Martyr. I've got an old Eschi Martyr that's just sitting here. I don't want to build another plane with these still kind of not finished. But I do have a ton of Messerschmitts, only because I picked them up really cheap and I wanted to use them as wrecks. And I got a Henschel 129 from Tamiya. I think I'm going to build a Martyr. I think that's the last model tank I have from Eschi. So it's a piece of crap. But that table's completely clear. So I think that's what I'm going to do is after I'm clear coating this, we'll move the popsicle stand over there, and we'll do the Martyr there. This is a little too. We could probably do it here. It'll probably be all right. I got to raise the chair though. It's funny. If you don't raise the chair, you hurt your back. If you raise it too much, you also hurt your back. Not hurt your back, but it's uncomfortable, and then you like get a kink in your neck. That's another thing. Like, oh, you got to play a certain tank. And I'm just starting out at it, and I'm not going to buy vehicles. I'm going to earn them. So I grinded to get Humber Mark II, which I have one. Not painted yet. I haven't decided what color it's going to be. I got a Humber Mark II armored car with a 2-pounder. All right. So now I got to get 20,000 points with it or something like that, or 32,000, something. I just did one battle, and I didn't do great. I didn't do horrible, and I got like 800 points. I'm like, okay, so you're telling me I got to play another 40 battles or so. I don't know. I can't do this. It's morning. I can't do that kind of math. A lot more than 24. I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. And it's not like I don't want to play the game now. I don't want to like stick to one thing. There's so many cool things that are, I don't want to just like, all you're doing is playing this thing. Like, it's too repetitive. And there don't seem to be that many, like, tank maps. Like, even less than World of Tanks. And World of Tanks does not have enough tank maps. It's just freaking boring. You know, there's one thing, if you play an airplane game with, like, no tanks, I'm okay. But if you play a tank game with no infantry, it seems weird. It seems like, what's going on here? You know, like, there's no anti-tank guns, there's no infantry, there's no, you know, tanks don't really operate in a vacuum. So it's not as enjoyable. Okay, now we'll get the underside. We didn't do much to this. I probably could have cleaned this up more, but this was basically a pizza crap. Somebody's kid that had built this. And we're going to make it one that is knocked out. Learned a lot about planes along the way. Learning more about planes along the way. It's not like I was completely ignorant, but and that's what I think that's what I think games are really good for, is to at least get you excited about reading about it. Got a couple of seats up here. Because when they're driving around, that's the place for people to sit. All right, now we're going to do the IL-16 first. And we have an alligator clip because we're going to need one of those. There's certainly got to be one around here. But even better than that, I think we'll use the helping hands here. So for instance, this plane, by all intents and practical purposes, is a piece of crap. It's actually pretty good in the game. It's maneuverable as hell and has 4 really fast firing machine guns. I mean, they're 7.62, but they fire they fire like 1,900 rounds a minute each. Like, that's a lot of firepower. That's not why I got it. I got this because, I don't know, it's sitting somewhere and you need to evacuate on it, or I don't know, do something to it. Just started playing a World War I board game called Trench Raid. Very thematic, very fun. Zillow Blitz has a good video on it. Trench Raid. It's not that Trench Crusade, is it, that I hear all over the place, which is, you know, World War I's not cool enough. We got to invent shit, you know. I'm like, well, I'm not your targeted audience. I'm wondering if I could thin this down with some water. How does this behave with water? Well, I don't have any. Okay, I'll be right back. Trench Crusade is fantasy. This is a historical game. You control a group of 10 trench raiders that have to cross no man's land in the middle of the night to accomplish missions. And you said it's a board game? Okay. Well, my wife is just getting involved in something that might interest you, and that is she's learning how to play mahjong. So she's doing it actually for something work related. So we got some set that's coming in the mail today, and I'm like, I can't think of anybody who'd be more willing to learn that shit with you than me. So let's see how this. This is wow. It's really behaving strange. What's due to the color? I'm fine with it. Now, okay. So what happens if I just add it straight on here? Let's see what happens here. Okay, it still has that. All right, we're going to thin it down a little bit. And I don't like using a thinner color than this one. I like all my stuff looking like it's dirty. Yeah, I've played it. I've played it a lot, but the solitaire one you could play for free on the computer, which is just apparently a different game. I played that one a lot. It's a lot better than like regular solitaire with cards. Yeah, it's like giving it like a yellow hue. It's fine. It's too damn bright blue anyways. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and apply this in a way that we get some free streaking out of this. And look, this model costs $2. Compass Games. Compass, I get Compass mixed up with Avalon Press. Avalanche Press. I get those two mixed up. And I think it's because both of them used to send me stuff in the mail. I've bought Avalanche Press games before. I used to have lots of those naval ones. Actually, I think I still have the World War One, the original, in the Mediterranean. Never bought a Compass Games, I don't think. Compass Games makes like that, a game called like Combat Patrol. I'm like, oh, that's perfect for like what I like to do. But it's like you look at the hex, and like a house is like one hex. So if you're stacking even is a whole squad in one, I don't want to, a house needs to be like 8 hexes. Even a small house needs to be, multiple hexes. So I didn't look any further than that. I'm like, okay, well, this isn't right. This isn't right for me, and that's just fine. I don't need to look for more stuff to get involved in. I actually had a wild hair up my ass. I actually thought, it's about time to start playing Gaslands. And the thing is I don't mind building the vehicles for it. I just don't want to learn the rules. I don't want to be that go-to guy. Like, hey, what does it say? I don't know. Let me look up the rules. Here we go. DBA again. I'm really burnt out on that. And I'm really burned out when you spend all that time looking for it. And then you come up with what you think the answer is, and then later on, you're wrong. And it's just like, I'm just tired of doing other people's proofreading for them. I know that Gaslands has all kinds of loopholes in it, even more than DBA. But I feel like painting some Matchbox vehicles. Matchbox / Hot Wheels vehicles. I really do. Because I haven't done them in this method yet. I did those before I really got into the tanks. And the tank method I can reproduce that consistently. And we can use Tony's tones on those. That works really well. Look at reading the face of battle rules. The guy wants $30 for the PF plus. He charges for the card. You don't need the cards. As a matter of fact, I'm never going to buy them. I'm not even going to make my own because I don't use cards. Yeah, the thing that turns me off is he doesn't release all the vehicles. Like I've got the first edition, and I got the first edition of the rules comes with Germans and Russian. Came with Germans and Russians. Then there was an All-American expansion, which added Americans. Then there was one that added the Commonwealth, and then there's one that adds the French. And that's the order that they came out with. But they came out with them so soon that it wasn't an issue. But he like originally, he includes some vehicles in the rules. Yeah, he includes like the Germans might include like one Panzer II, one Panzer III, a Panzer IV, a Panther, a Tiger, maybe a Hummel or something like that, and a half track or two. So certainly not enough to do everything you need. I'm like, I've got the vehicles from the first edition. All you need is the example of one vehicle, and you can make your data for the other vehicles. It's not like that's difficult, you know. So the penetration values are all over the internet. I'm looking at Japanese. What if the guy doesn't make Japanese? I don't care. I'll make my own stats for the Japanese. It's not like the information's not there. All right, I think I need to use a bigger brush. I think I need to use a bigger brush, at least initially. So what do we have that's large? We don't have to put a lot of paint on there. Let's see what we got here. Believe it or not, one of these might actually work. Well, let's try it. I really don't have a use for these. Now, is this my only hope? I don't feel like salvaging any right now. Yeah, let's go with this. Well, I was just using this one. What the hell happened? I'm all over the place lately. Yeah, we need to water this down a little bit and then use that. And we're going to go back over with a dry brush of the color that's there anyway, so just like we do tanks. And I don't know what he did. I don't know what he did with the tanks, but I know some of the other stuff. He went to a D10 instead of a D100, which if it makes the morale. Thank you. I knew that was loose. If it makes the morale a lot easier to deal with, then I'm all for it. But I don't really want to deal with changing the tanks to a 10-sided system. So, they didn't necessarily behave slowly. It's just one of those things. It's like, okay, you got guys that can be pinned or shaken or or hesitation, all those things. So what happens when a guy is pinned and he gets pinned again? All right, what happens if he gets pinned? The different layers and how they cumulatively affect each other. It's not like what happens when you get this? What happens when you get this and you already have something else? It's how they layer on top of each other that it becomes complicated. Because sometimes it affects it. You can take a minus for it. Sometimes you don't. It's almost kind of like when you do one of those flow charts. You've seen those before. Did your wife say you could buy a model? Yes or no? And you could follow it down to little boxes that tell you what to do. Just do the same thing like a flow chart like that. And maybe take like index cards or even pieces of paper, cut them off, write down what the effects are and then connect them all. And then eventually after it's all connected and you got it right, then actually put it down. The problem is I'm not motivated to do that by myself. Like I'd rather do this. It's boring to do that kind of shit by yourself. But I think that's what you need to do. Just for me to wrap my head around it. The old brain's getting worn. That's without me doing any drugs. And the guy emailed me and said, "Hey, thanks for putting your videos out. Now I'm motivated to put out the second edition." I figured, well, maybe he'll send it to me for free. Not that I want it, because then the problem with getting a set of the free thing is oh man, now I got to cater to him. Now he wants me to put a game together, and I don't really have time to it, and I feel bad because he gave me the rules free. I'm like, I don't want it for all the, I don't want free stuff because it comes with conditions. Even if they don't put the conditions on you, like you'll end up putting them on yourself. It's like, man, this guy gave me this thing for free. Oh man, this guy gave me this product and I really dislike it, but I feel like I have to do a review. But if I'm honest, then I'm basically giving him a bad review on something he gave it to me. So it's better not to be put in that situation. You know. Because I look at reviews and I'm wondering, is this person being honest? And I don't want people to think of that about me. Well, I don't really care what people think about me. I can't live with myself if I just can't, if I don't tell the truth. But there's like one guy that I used to watch when I used to watch a lot of firearm stuff. There's one guy that always reviews firearms, and he's in South Carolina. He does really good reviews. I mean, I do poor quality crap compared to what he does. I mean, these are professional YouTube people. But he never seems to have something bad to say about any of the products. And I just like, you just got to take that with a grain of salt. I mean, he seems like a nice guy. He probably is. But he never finds any issues with anything. And I'm just like wondering, like, okay, well, are you being completely honest? These wing struts were a pain in the ass to put on this plane. Mainly because they had no locator pins. And they didn't fit together well. And if I'm having trouble putting it together, a lot of people are having trouble putting it together. I'm not the world's best model builder, but I'm closer to that end than people that glue themselves to the model. And that's not saying much, but I don't do that bad. And if I struggle with it after, then there's definitely a deficiency. Yeah, but this thing was actually pretty good. Flying this thing around, it's a pretty good plane. Except for the top speed. The top speed is garbage. Like, you can't get away from anybody. But, it's not worthless in the point where it can't take any damage, or it's very maneuverable. It just has the top speed of a Stuka. Not in a dive. Maybe a little bit faster, but not by much. You glue yourself to the model? Okay, well, have some debonder handy. Well, just like the people at work, I make mistakes, but I don't want to make mistakes. And that makes a difference. If you make mistakes and you don't care if you make mistakes, there's no hope for you. You're going to keep making, and you actually might enjoy making mistakes, and I don't. Now, I actually watched some guy, I want to say it was on Brit Modeler, that did a model of this, that finished painting a model of this exact same vehicle. And what he did is, talk about having too much free fucking time on their hands. I mean, I find value in this, but, I do need to paint other things other than this one model ever in my life. He took little pieces of tape and taped almost like little slats on the top of it, so when he came and airbrushed it in another color, it looked like it was beveled. I'm like, okay, this $2 model does not deserve half of my lifetime painting it. And for that reason, I'm out. But he did an excellent job with it. I just don't think this model was worthy of it. Tail look all right. Okay. Now we'll do this. And I honestly don't know where the hell the machine guns are on this thing. I think somewhere in the cowling. This thing was also a pain in the ass to put together. It just didn't go together well. Like the Rodin models are a pain in the ass to put together, but they go together well. Like Dragon models, pain in the ass to put together. Things are like the correct size, which means they're usually too small to handle, but they go together really well. That's called failing upwards. Okay. Yeah, if you're gonna fail upwards. You know, don't fall for that. Don't fall for your own mistake again. It's just to add a little bit of difference in the finish of it. Really. That's all this is for. All right, this guy's done. Now the spit. Probably need to fix the bottom before I do that. Does it really matter? Probably not. It's so freaking weird. I was really kind of against doing this, but then I'm like, okay, I could paint it in this regular sky color, which is what you traditionally associate with a Spitfire. But then the markings on the plane don't match it. And I don't want to create my own markings because I don't have enough time to do the research. And I'm like, F it, we'll just paint it. I'm just going to go over this with it, and if there's anything that we need to touch up, we touch it up later. The airbrush worked really well, by the way. That thinning fluid that guy does is really pretty amazing stuff. Yeah, so it's painted aluminum, I guess for reflecting. I don't know. They had a problem with I guess one guy was telling me that the French were shooting down their planes. So this is basically the BEF. This is what the Spitfires were painted like, but probably other British planes also. Let me get this will work. There we go. Now it's going to have more weathering than this. This is just the initial modulation. Yeah, I was watching some video this morning because I've got my plane, my tanks, how I'm doing them down really well where I'm happy with them. So I'm like, let me watch this guy's video on how he suggests you should weather planes. And I'm like, oh my God, this is just exhausting. Like, I'd have to quit my day job and I'd be overworked. And I don't think it looked that good considering all the work he was doing. He's like, spray the whole thing aluminum first and then put chipping thing on there. And I'm like, oh my God. That's way too many steps. Now, I'm still going to apply this, even though it probably won't make much of a difference because it is on black. And then after this, we'll add the decals, because that's what makes a big difference on a plane. Because right now it's like, it doesn't look like anything. You know, you're going to weather over those anyways. Okay, I think that's enough. And you know, stuff like, you know, are the wheel wells a different color? I don't know. We don't worry about that right now. We can go in there and detail paint that and weather that little spot. Okay. Your damn Japanese infantry tanks shipped the same day. They suspended de minimis. I'm wondering if I have to pay tariffs on these things. Stupid. Where'd they come from? Japanese infantry and tanks. Where'd they come from? I know you told me. Were they from England? It's dumb as hell to have. It's dumb as hell to have tariffs on stuff from the UK. There's you know, maybe the only reason they did that is because the Chinese wouldn't ship everything to the UK and then distribute it from there, and then you get away with not having any tariffs. Okay, I could see that. You better believe they'd do that too. But there aren't. I don't think that there's tariffs on English stuff. I don't think there's tariffs on stuff from the UK for the purpose of, you know, because English stuff is just, you know, they're just killing us with the English. I do have a hard time finding something made in the UK here in the United States. They're England and Spain. 172nd Scale is a Spanish company, but I think they have a location in the UK. Okay. Yeah, I ordered something from Spain once. That was a mistake. It cost just as much in shipping as it did. And that was a while ago. This is close to 20 years ago. It was almost the same in shipping as it was the price of the product. Now, one thing that MIG was saying in the thing is when you're painting hardline camouflage, and he showed this to us in person, he still used the airbrush, but he hand painted like the edges and then airbrushed in the middle. I'm like, that sounds, I would have never thought of that. And then I proceeded to just not do that. Fire up the airbrush for just too big of a, you know, it's a pain in the ass to fire up the airbrush. You know, I don't do it here. I'd have to go to the garage and it's just a pain. So unless the job is worthy, see, this is already looking a lot better with having this other. And I thinned it down. I actually didn't have any water here, so I just thinned it down with some Vallejo airbrush thinner. It's Vallejo paints. And had to add a couple coats. I didn't want it to be real goopy. I didn't want it to look like crap with a decal over it. That's what would happen. It'd get too goopy, and then because it's just such a thin layer of paint on the flat earth. I mean, you could see all these little panel lines. This is actually, I'm surprised how good of a model this is. But I was really impressed with this particular Airfix model. Now it's probably been redone since but the panel lines on this thing are pretty amazing. Now what I'm not looking forward to is painting the front edge of this wing where it's usually like yellow or something like that. That I'm not looking forward to doing. But we'll burn that bridge when we get there. This doesn't need to go in a museum. It just needs to look good enough for me. And honestly, I'm probably a more harsh critic than the museum would be. But I look at some of these planes that have the chipping, and it's just too much. It's so much chipping, it's distracting. You can't even see that the plane is, I don't want to model a plane that's been abused. It just doesn't look right. Again, this is my take on this particular model. You might want to do it differently. Okay, I think that's good enough. Yeah, the colors are like, when we put the decals on it, which will be the next step, it's gonna look the part. Let me see if we got how's the underside looking? Underside's looking pretty good. My dry brushing skills are good enough. I can cover anything. It's gonna get dry brushed anyways. So, all right, tank's done. Moving this. All right, let's flip and let's go to the other side. The rate for the UK is 10%. Most UK traders charging upfront and delivering duty free. Yeah, 10%'s nothing. I mean, it adds on, but that's the only reason I think to do that, because it's not like, oh, we got some kind of a huge trade deficit with the UK. I mean, UK's got, they're getting outproduced by the same places we are, too, The UK's not our enemy anymore. All right. I know, you can't tell me what you really feel, or the thought police is going to come after you. Is that really a thing over there? You can't speak your mind? Well, that's, I guess, why I can't go over there. I can't live over there. I don't say anything that controversial. Okay, let's get rid of... Well, let's just flip it over here and you can see what kind of a mess I don't have. Definitely have a lot of peace of mind in here. Is there anything we need to disconnect? All right, we're going to move the microphone over here. And we're going to take this and we're going to flip it over. And then we need to turn this like this, and we'll adjust this in a second. But back here in the corner, I ended up getting these boxes here for the palm trees, so we can put all that stuff together, because they were literally, I was trying to find places in the bookshelf, and that really didn't work. And it was creating all kinds of chaos. And all right, I got this thing up. I want to use sprue goo today. All right, so let's make sure this is not teetered over where it's going to fall. All right, this is the fancy mouse I got to fly around in. Only spent $30 for the mouse, $29.99 or something. They got mice that went all the way up to like $200. And I felt one of them, and it felt like crap. So I don't know what the hell it does for you. Maybe it goes to work for you or something. I have no idea, but I won't be buying one of those. All right. This table has been excellent. The fact that I can raise it and lower it wherever I want it to be. Right now it's at its lowest setting. All right. Move this over here. Coffee goes over here. Flip the light over to this side. My wife makes fun of me. Why you got that mouse pad? I'm like, because it's handy. It is. All right, we're going to need this. And this. All right, and the kit that we're going to be working on. Instructions are getting carried away. The kit we're going to be working on is the Martyr Tank Destroyer. That somebody, I guess, paid $1.09 for it. I ended up getting it from Noble Knight by accident. It was an accident because I already had some. Okay, that's probably good. All right. I don't know whether I did an unboxing on this or not, but I am a little concerned about the instructions because they can be toxic. So if I start having some kind of a reaction to this, I'll take a picture of it and put it away. And you'd think I'd be making that up, but it's for real. It's for reals. And, well, we haven't used this friend in a long time. Where is she? The Tamiya cutter thingies. Here. What do you got here? No, that's the cord to the laptop. Everything look all right? Okay. Yeah, we're not gonna put a drink on the right hand side. I'm extremely right-handed. I'm knocking that bitch down. All right, what do we got here? Now, as much as I would like to do this one in Panzer Gray for Wintergewitter, you know, it doesn't come up here if, let's see. I don't think that they had it at that point. All right, here's the rubber track, which hopefully isn't too brittle. Yeah, I don't care if it shows it in gray on the back. I don't think that they had them in. I don't think this model came out in 42. They might have had the one that's on the Panzer II, but not this one. Okay, multi-piece chassis. All right, let's get our glue. This is the California one. This is the Tamiya one. We got sprue goo, which, let's see if it's alive. Airfix sprue goo, to be precise. No, it's a little hard. So let's get this is the micro scale one. Yep, smells like oranges. There we go. Boy, I'm getting nowhere fast. I have a tiny pipette. I thought I did somewhere. I don't want to go looking for it, so. All right, we're going to let that reactivate. Might take a little bit of time. This is the old side. green means go. Let's put the good one on the green one. While you're not closing, don't make me replace you. I only have probably 20 cases like this. There we go. We'll come back to that in a little bit. All right, so the 3-piece hull. Sometimes this glue does not react well to this weld cement. I know I was putting the Hetzer together. It was almost like melting. Man, I gotta find where all my tools and stuff are. Because not all plastics are created equally. Some of them just react too harshly with this weld cement. And I know there's a couple different cements. I don't have time to use a bunch of different ones. I mean, I've got 2. If you want to count that Tester's ones, that I think I got rid of it. It smelled so toxic. Who knows what that's been used for? Might have been used to cut down a bunch of palm trees. That's why it's weak. Yeah, well, I don't have any plans on ordering anything anytime soon from the UK. Not that I have anything against them, but I won't be able to provide any kind of insight into how much it's costing us here in the States. Because there just isn't anything that I need to spend money on right now. This, of course, is probably the most unfun part of it all, is putting these and hoping that it fits together right. But using this kind of cement means you can move a little bit after you've done putting it together. Now, I already see a problem right off the bat, and I don't know how I'm going to deal with it. I'll probably deal with it when I get there, is these road wheels. It came with another set, and I removed them because I was going to use them to make castings for, which I did, to use castings on the Panzer 38s. The Panzer 38s that I got at the 3D printed, I wanted some that had extra spare road wheels on them. So I took this out and made castings on them. I don't know what I did with the original. I'm sure they're in the parts box. Not hidden too difficultly, but whenever we get around to that, we'll search for that. Yeah, here's one of those injection molds that are negative. We might add sprue glue to that, or we might not. Sometimes some things aren't worth messing with. All right, so we're going to apply this here. Yeah, the next model shows in beginning of October. I don't have any high hopes for them having, stuff for the Pacific, but they're going to have some Japanese planes, so we'll probably get some Japanese planes, Oscar or something. You looked at buying tank models, but putting the tracks together looks a little intimidating by its tediousness. Well, I never built a separate link track tank until relatively recently, within the last 5 years. And I thought about it before I did it, decided let's build it on the cardboard, use this kind of cement, and freaking nailed it. I love doing it. I know that sounds weird, but it's really satisfying when you take something that a lot of people struggle with and you kick its ass. You just have the benefit now that we didn't have before, and that's the internet. So you got a problem, ask on the internet, see how other people have solved it. And hopefully they're being, honest with how they went about it. I don't mind sharing my mistakes and things I did wrong, whatever. The Plastic Soldier, I got my other ones are from Plastic Soldier Company. And you don't have to do this kind of nonsense part. If you have a quality model, the separate link tracks are great. That Revell from Germany, Panzer III and Panzer IV they put out, both have excellent tracks. It's funny, the Panzer IV, the instructions look like they were almost like printed on a newspaper, like wafer thin, and they're like almost the paper makeup of a newspaper. But those tanks went together really well. The separate link tracks are a lot more fun to put together than Schertzen. Schertzen are a pain in the ass. I've suggested the booth at the end yet to another person. I think I've almost recommended it to everyone I know by now. Isn't it great? And, one of the things that it's great is it's minimalist. And it's, I think thought-provoking. You finished watching all the episodes yet? I binged it in 2 days. I watched the whole thing, Okay, so this thing's like that. Piece C20, which these don't have the best parts. Okay, this is like the firewall. Yeah, I do the same thing. Find something that's really cool and I suggest it to everybody. And a lot of people are watching TV and they're never watching the kind of stuff I don't watch a lot, but I'll ask people, hey, you happen to watch Black Mirror? No. Fuck. Well, we can't talk about that. Okay, this isn't very clear. I think the door to the firewall faces the inside here, not the other way around. Man. It's inspirational. No, I haven't seen season 2. Waiting on a friend to watch season 1, but if they take too long, I'll just knock out in an afternoon. Yeah. Yeah, it makes you think. So my question to you is, what is this guy? Does he really do anything? Is he, is he a wizard? Is he a warlock? Is he just some dude with a book? He must be into something because they don't pay him anything for it. I don't think they pay him anything for it, if I remember correctly. He's great at it, though. And it's the least dickhead character I've ever seen that guy play. They know he's mean. You made me do it. I didn't do anything. You did it to yourself. I just made a suggestion. Or the book made a suggestion. It's also something amateur filmmaker could do. First, I thought the guy had some powers, but that lady that wanted to hear God again was what made me question if this dude had any real powers. Yeah, I don't think he has any powers, which is good because I'm not into really that kind of shit, you know what I mean? Like, there's enough bad fucking people in this world to have, Satan figures. Like, they're not really needed. I saw an article. I saw something that came up on my search this morning. I wasn't even looking for it. And it was a news article where, and I haven't read it yet. And I remember hearing about this like 30 years ago. Before things were like really out of hand with crazy people. Like, crazy people are really out of hand now, right? I don't know if there's just more of them. They're getting a lot more attention. They're getting bolder. But there's a lot of unhinged folks out there. And you find out about them. Maybe they've always been, but man, they're like really like everywhere all the time. And this particular news article, some guy, and I'd read about something like this that happened a long time ago, like 30 years ago or something like that, where a guy that was a surgeon was amputating people because he had that was his thing, a fetish. And I just saw that it came up again. But I think this guy amputated his own limbs. I'm like, that just isn't, that's a chemical imbalance to the factor of a million. But I remember way back then reading about some guy that would just, he'd sequester people and like amputate their limbs because I don't think he was doing anything with the limbs. I just think that was his thing. I'm like, unhinged people, stay away from me. The ending of season 1 made it seem like he did have power, so I don't know. Yeah, I think I came away with it that he didn't have powers. It wasn't satanic or anything like that. Because I start reading it and I start listening. I start watching. I'm like, does this guy like have some like making a deal with the devil kind of stuff? But the guy doesn't force anybody to do anything. So I don't know. Maybe they were smart and they wrote it in a way that. Do you think he had powers? It's kind of like it's one of them poems which I hate in poetry. What do you think it means? Oh shit, here we go again. But I think it actually works for that role. Do you want him to have powers? These people that go crazy using Chat GPT freaks me out a bit. I read about a guy thought he could free Chat GPT from itself. Yeah. Yeah, I think, and I've said this before, I think too many people have a voice. And I'm not disenfranchising people. I'm just saying that there's some crazy people that don't need to. There's movies I've seen that if the wrong person sees them, they're going to be on the news, and a lot of people are going to be dead. There's dangerous stuff out there that could really mess people up. Stuff like Hostel, Saw. I mean, the wrong people sees that. If the wrong people sees that, if the wrong person sees that, you got a problem. There's a guy I know who he doesn't live here anymore, but he always liked watching horror movies. I don't watch horror movies, you know. And zombie stuff like The Nun, just fucked up demonic shit. And I suspect that one of his kids has. I don't think he went out of his way to show it to him, but he didn't hide it. And he's got a kid that's not all there, and I don't think that him watching those kind of movies helped. I have a sneaking suspicion. There's just some stuff that is just fucked up, and if the wrong person sees it, you know, you're gonna have problems. You're gonna have problems. That person's gonna cause problems in society. You know. Chat GPT. All right. I would, if I was in school, I probably would use Chat GPT to get me started writing something. Because I have like painter's block with writing. It's called writer's block, dumbass. Well, you just kind of got to get the ball moving. For that. Well, here's the horrible eshy instructions. Not only do they have multiple things, they show you from the backside what it is. Okay, so this is piece 17. Okay, so we're gonna need this one. We'll cut this far away from here. We're gonna need that piece. Okay, and we're gonna need the front plate is 49. Or the additional front plate, because there's already a front plate on it. Here. And I got to use a little boy's room. I'll be right back. You got to be really careful with kids because my parents were notorious for not letting me watch anything that had violence in it at all. Like growing up, I'm like 13, 14, 15 years old. I couldn't watch Miami Vice. Couldn't watch anything that was violent. And although that was an extreme example, I think it's okay because, like you got to find out who you are and have you're okay, like you're not going to be heading towards an iceberg. Okay, all right, well now you can do whatever you want because now you know better. Now you know it's just a show and that's not how you act and all that kind of shit. But we went to go see some movie. I forget what it was. I don't think it was Deadpool. It was something. It was some movie that was really inappropriate, and it had like a 7-year-old kid there watching it. I'm like, no wonder people were fucked up. I forget what it was. I went something. It was in the movie theater. I remember like remarking, like, man, the hell's this 7-year-old kid watching it? With all the inappropriate jokes that hopefully he doesn't understand. Like. Well, I'm his guardian. I said, well, you're doing a shit job of being one. It's my personal opinion. I mean, I had no way of watching rated R movies before I was 17. I didn't have an older brother. My parents are older. They're not going to go to any trendy movies with me. That turned out all right. I mean, you can leave me in a room with kids and nothing's going to happen. I mean, unless, shut up! Shut up, shut up, shut up! Oh, man. Great, now my chair giggles along with you. Squeaky chair. An unrequested text from not even a person, one of them automated things. This is going to need a little bit of it's really annoying to struggle with the vision, not being able to see stuff. So I've gotten really used to wearing readers. So you're focused on this and you end up like clipping something on the way out, like not necessarily tripping over, but you're just doing stupid shit that you shouldn't be doing and just find it really annoying. Having Mr. Magoo moments. Okay, the front plate of this is even an issue for the on the Plastic Soldier Company ones. So you got a bunch of guys that are like trying to free Hal, huh? Oh, the Chat GPT, there's somebody trapped in there. All right, I'm not sure which one of these sides goes up. Does it matter? Yeah. Well, the easiest thing is just grab one of the Plastic Soldier Company ones, assuming they're accurate. Okay, so this tow hook goes more towards the bottom. Oh, look, if I hadn't done that, I might have installed this backwards. Goes like that. Does it? Does it though? Let's see. Martyr 3H. Yep, the rain guard's on the bottom. And the track's going to attach to that. So these little, like, this will go like that. All right, good. Well, we put 2 and 2 together, so that's good. Just took some good photos. Your second Chinese project. I think you'll like this one. Saw the film version on Amazon. I think he stole the book, and Doris is one of what he is. Hence the blackmail. The film version of what? Oh, I haven't said it yet. Okay. Yeah. Show me what you got. As much as I like Asian stuff, I don't want to play any of the Chinese planes or the Chinese tanks. Let's see what we got here. Oh, wow. That's pretty fucking impressive, man. What did you make that out of? That looks really good. What's on the building? You fuck up now. You fuck up now. Don't come in here. This building collapses. That looks great, man. Boy, I'd get old making those little blocks. Knowing you, it probably says something. Well, I would put something for real too. I mean, you know, otherwise you'd be making up characters that would be silly. Oh, foam core. Okay, so it's got paper on one side and no paper on the other side, right? So this must be the no paper. It looks good, man. It looks really good. Just wait till you start adding other stain colors that aren't like just the black, like just a little bit of it, and it makes a huge difference. Makes it come alive, and I could do stain stuff all day long. I love it. I love doing it. Okay, this needs a little piece that goes across the top, which is piece 45. Piece 45. Looks like that one. Is it? It is. You know, I've always heard old people, "Oh, I can't do that scale anymore, so I can't see." And I don't know that I agree with that sentiment yet, but it's manipulating in your hands. Not necessarily attaching it, because you can use tweezers, and it's kind of satisfying to do tweezer work. But stuff like this, like cutting the flash off something this small, I peel the paper off both sides. The paper can sometimes come off and ruin things, so you recommend adding some color washes, some areas. I can do that. Yeah, just like drippings. You know, get one of them. What do you call those things? Those the War Master washes. You'll never have to buy another one. I mean, one of the brown. I go through a lot of it for the main color of the tanks, but like the drippings and stuff, just freaking look great. But you're on the right track. You know, you'll figure it out in no time. Yeah, you everything's there. Yeah, it looks really good. That looks really good. So you've got so the the thickness of the actual wall is the foam core, and then the other pieces that are thicker, like the trim, like the lintels, I guess, that's another piece on top of it. What did you use to glue it on? Hot glue gun? I mean, it looks really good, and it is really satisfying, which you probably know this. It's really satisfying engraving styrofoam with like a screwdriver or anything like that. Not very forgiving if you fuck it up, but yeah, that looks really good. Let's look at the inside. Yeah, man, those blocks are probably a pain in the ass to make. That's the only part of that would suck. Yeah, and the inside looks good. The inside wall, I was concerned, like, man, what if I just paint this black and then just dry brush it? That's gonna look like crap. Nope, it looks the part. No, it looks really good. You got got the extra sticks there, stained them. Yep. You even got a collapsing. You got some collapsing shit here. It's just holding on by a thread. Looks like you added some ballast to the bottom of the floor there to make so it's not looks completely smooth. No, everything's and you're just starting doing this. It looks freaking great. Looks really good. And cheap as hell. And then the important thing about cheap as hell is not that you need to be cheap as hell, but you're willing to take risks. If you buy something that's really expensive, you're like you're so worried about fucking it up. But if it's something cheap, it's like I threw away $1, right? Whatever you're going to learn from doing that is worth a lot more than what you paid for that thing. At least that's my reaction to it. I'm willing to take risks. Like, it's just a fucking $1. Right? Now, I did go to Lowe's yesterday and I bought a set of drill bits that can drill into metal. And I am going to start. I don't know at what point. I am going to start working on some vehicles and taking them apart and repainting them because I want to repaint them the way I do now. Oh, let me see if I can find that vehicle I was talking about, that green car. I have so many things started and not finished, but that's all of this. Some of them are finished and not. Some of them are finished and just don't. Oh no, here we go. I remember I was telling you, this is like if Cruella de Vil, if somebody drove her ass around, she'd probably drive around in this thing. Does it tell you what it is? 1935 Cadillac. This looks a little bit like, hold on, lady, we going for a ride. Now, the only problem with this thing is the thickness of the wheels. And by the way, do I have the other? I do have the other little vehicle here. I'm pretty sure I brought it inside. Yeah, this one. I already took it apart. I have to go in and list it and see what color they have their vehicles painted. Yeah, just a little. It's just a two-door, almost like a little vehicle. Of course, it's got, hot rod wheels on it, but. And this is closer in scale to 1/72nd than this is, but look, they work for what their intended purpose is. There's a guy they sell aftermarket tires for that kind of stuff, but yeah, next thing you know, you're buying something for $1 and you're buying the accessories for it costs $12. That'd make a good gas sense car. I'm still trying to get my brother into that game. I think you need to play it and come up with your own house rules for it because there's just a lot of stuff that's just weird. I think the basic mechanics of you roll and the maneuvers, I think that works wonderfully. And it's a lot of fun. I personally, when I play, I try to freaking stay on the course and drive. There's nothing satisfying about crashing. You can't crash fast enough to win. All right, time for the rear deck. Don't talk about my deck. Yeah, these bastards that put this using these attachment points at that weird ass angle. Yeah, I got a lot of Gasland cars. I have a lot of Matchbox cars. It's not ridiculous, but I probably have 30. Ridiculous would be thousands. And there's people that have stuff like that, but. Like I said, I wish that guy wasn't in California. I wish he had been in Florida. The guy that does that 3D bot maker stuff. I'd be like, every time I watch one of his shows, and I haven't seen one of his shows in a long time, and it's literally the best thing out on YouTube. I just keep forgetting about it. And it's funny because it's not something I'm super into. But it's really pretty amazing what he does. But people will turn in cars and they'll make custom ones, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to paint all that and then have it go through the kind of abuse that they go through. Unintentional abuse. Yeah, and the Gasland storyline is just garbage, but you could make up your own storyline. You make up your own teams. They can have the same, they can have equivalent of something else, You have Mexicans with lowriders. You can have rednecks with rebel flags on everything. Team Bubba. All the rice burners. I think we could safely attach this. And it's not going to be in the way of everything, but it just seems like it's Oh, is that where it goes? Okay. All right. Now it looks like it fits into place. Well, I remember seeing way back when, because I haven't messed with the Gasland stuff in probably 5 years. And there had been some people that had made like ramps and stuff out of like a crashed F-15. So it was like an F-15 that was like crashed in the middle of this thing. And it's got one wing and they were using the wing. They were driving on the wing to ramp off, A lot of like innovative stuff. Like I said, the game is pretty decent. I think it just, you need to, there's some loopholes as far as like, well, what happens if you have this, if this happens, but you already have this condition? It's like pre-existing conditions when another thing happens is what the issue is, which is the same issue with the morale checks in the face of battle. All right, I think I need to find those wheels now. I'm looking for two. That's weird because I thought I would be only looking for one. Well, I know where it's not going to be, so let's not look there. Okay, here's one of the spare wheels. That's a good sign. Well, I already found one of them. Like I said, I wasn't expecting to look for. I wasn't expecting to look for two of them. Maybe I wanted to make two molds. Well, here's already a mold. So worst case scenario, I stick that other wheel on it, and I'm all set. So I've already won. See, here's another one that's not finished. I know I need to finish some of these things. Well, shit happens. This is why I'm like, I don't need to order anytime soon. I got enough, I got these A13s that aren't finished yet. This guy shouldn't be in there. Horace and, they don't have a stand, but they're done. Horace and Hermione shouldn't be in here. You bloody bastards! They're done, other than they're not on a stand. Yeah, I got lots of stuff that's just nearly complete or so. Yeah, same thing. These half tracks are done. Other than I don't have the markings on them yet. Man, the benches look great. I was struggling with how I was going to paint them. Scuba is almost done. I have a lot of this stuff that's like nearly complete. Sometimes you just feel like building new shit, I guess. I'm about ready to stop looking for it and just roll with that. I'm gonna roll with that. I don't know where that other spare wheel is, but that one will work just fine. Honestly, I was pretty surprised seeing that I was missing two. I thought I was missing one. A lot of Ryan projects nearly complete and have this one 3K solo game is practically finished, just haven't done the final touches. Yeah, sometimes you just creativity just moves on to greener pastures, I guess. All right, 2 idler wheels. That's 35, 34, 32, 33, 35. So it's 4 piece numbers, but really there's only 2 different ones. So it's this side right here. These are all the bloody idlers. And these models actually still go, even though they're ancient by today's standards, they still go for a pretty penny. People still think really highly of these issue ones, but honestly, I wouldn't have this one if it wasn't something that I bought with a credit from Noble Knight. That's the only reason I have it. And then didn't realize that I already had some other ones from Plastic Soldier Company. What time is it? 10? Yeah, I was playing some Japanese tanks a couple days ago on that. War Thunder. What a piece of crap they are. Japanese tanks suck. Hold on a second. This looks simpler than it is. Got 2 of those. We got 2 of those. Yep. I was doing it wrong. I think. This one goes like this. And the other one that fits on it goes like that, right? And then this one goes in here and can't, because now yeah, this goes on the outside, so it goes on the outside like of that. Pin vise, it's always difficult to find because it falls in there. It's a little smaller than the rest of the things. A little shorter. There it is. I tried rifling. It's too grindy. I don't want to spend days just to get a Hago that sucks. Yeah, well, the good thing about it is it doesn't cost you anything. And the grindy part about it is if you're playing low-level stuff, you get to enjoy it. Like I'm playing it with Don, and Don like rushed. Like he'll buy things and do stuff like that. His excuse is that he's older, he's not going to live long enough. I say, well, whatever. Okay, but you don't get to enjoy the stuff that you unlock if every time, if you're going and doing a plane and you get a new plane, you fly it one time, and then the next thing you know, you unlock another plane, and like you're unlocking things way too fast. You don't get to enjoy the stuff that you have. So you can unlock things too fast for sure, and then sometimes it's like it could just take too long. But honestly, it's funny because what I enjoy playing the most is the planes. There's a bigger variety in the boards on the planes than anything else. I don't mind the ships. But you get stuck in too many situations where you encounter a ship again. A ship there's only one in the class, and there's like 6 of them on one side. It's a bit too excessive. The ship selection in World of Warships is actually better. It's more distributed a bit better. It's a hokier game, but it's distributed better. And the War Thunder ships are a little too like, you just select your target and just click on it every 5 seconds. Or however long it takes to reload. That's it. Whereas the World of Warships, you actually have to lead your target. Now, you could play where you have to lead your target as well, but it's too much work. It's like super fiddly with a mouse. I start feeling like I'm getting carpal tunnel. Where I don't get that with the planes, because the planes does have a lot of activity when you're dogfighting. But once you get in the dogfight and you turn where you can, you're not really moving it that much, and then you turn back. It's not intense. The tanks are definitely more intense as far as making you feel uncomfortable kind of stuff. But the planes, I've been enjoying the planes more than anything else, which is strange. But I can't play the planes on the console. I can't. You just overcorrect all the time. You need a mouse. You need a mouse to aim. Okay, front sprockets. Okay, these look totally different. This is the outsides here. Kind of delicate and can get farther away from them with this. But I've really been enjoying the booming and zooming planes, which is strange to say that, but you got to think to stay alive. You can't just like go in and mix it up. But you know, you try it out. It costs you no money. You don't like it. That's fine. I didn't like it to begin with. I think on the console, the menu is really clunky, super clunky on the console. But one of the things I just started doing is, I know this sounds stupid, well, why do you just start doing it now? I don't know, because I got enough on my damn plate, is adjusting the flaps. Like, you know, run around with flaps raised, getting ready to get in a dogfight, put a combat flaps on. So you can turn them a little better, get a little bit better maneuverability. Yeah, make sure you do it with a mouse. It's probably the easiest flight game I've ever seen that works really well with a mouse. But you know, it works great with a wing person. I just call him on the phone and we're literally talking while we're playing the game because the in communication inside the game doesn't work for me. I can't. You can't drown out the noise low enough and still hear the person. So I actually put my earbuds in and then I put the the headphones over that actually has the sound of the game. You don't stay out here, and that way I can adjust the two things independently from each other. Okay, so we did that. Sprocket time. But the thing I enjoy about it more than anything else is I have somebody to talk to about it. Because just playing in a vacuum, like who cares? But there's some funny things that happen. Like I finally unlocked the Hurricane Mark IV, which in that game has. I always thought it was the 2C that had that, but they call it the Mark IV in the game, and it's got the Hurricane with the gun pods. It's got 40 millimeter gun pods underneath. So if somebody wants to go head to head with you, they're going to take some 40 millimeter to the face, which is basically, you know, it's over. Like that's catastrophic. But it is huge. It is a huge program. It's like literally on this computer I'm on right now, I only have, what do I have on it game wise? I only have that game and World of Warships, and I'm out of space. Like that's like the only two games I can have. Which is fine because the only thing I use it for is really to film these videos and do a little bit of gaming. Okay, that's done. Now what do? Do the other, do all the wheels? All right, well, we're going to leave one of them off. And I think what I'm going to do is the one I'm going to leave off is in the middle. And anyways, we use this ersatz wheel for one of the ones in the middle here. It's going to have the least amount of pressure on it. This is the same running gear that the Hetzer had, and the Hetzer was really, really soft. The British have this bomber that is just horrendously bad. At least when it starts off. Called the Hampton. It's extremely unmaneuverable. It's slow. It's slow and unmaneuverable. And one of the game modes is like a capture the airbase. So you basically have to do like a touch and go with the planes. You have to put the landing gear has to be on the ground, but you could go, if you're playing an arcade, you can go any speed. But man, it is freaking hard. It is hard to freaking land a plane and not crash. It is. That's probably the hardest thing to do about flying it, is trying to land. Trying to land at high speed. But it's easier in the bomber. Because he's so slow. How far am I with the German planes? I don't have any tier 3 planes. Because what I want to do is I want to play them all. So I'm kind of trying to build them all evenly. I just unlocked the Messerschmitt F2. So the highest tier 2, the highest tier 2 Messerschmitt. And I have all of them. And I was like, man, I'm not gonna like these Messerschmitts because they're just, you can't dogfight with them. Man, I've had a lot of fun with the Messerschmitts. A lot of fun with the Messerschmitts. Because they're really good divers. And they're more maneuverable than the P-40. The P-40 has great firepower. But it doesn't turn worth a damn. And the one thing that's, you kind of figure this stuff out as you do it. You'll have a plane that's like, it's decent, like it's got good firepower. And it's not bad maneuverability, but when you put a lot of speed behind it, it can't turn worth a damn. So you could be going too fast for your own good. And then some things at altitude below behave differently than low. There's not exactly a formula, but you kind of, you start getting like a feel for it. Like, you go around, you're flying around, and you're like, okay, there's an IL-2. I'm not going head to head with him, or a P-38. P-38s are a pain in the ass right now, because they're fast. Anybody that's on their speed level is, they're not that much more maneuverable than them. They're a pain in the ass, the P-38s. But not everybody has a P-38, So, you take a smaller plane and it's like, I remember those Russian biplanes were a pain in the ass, but they're so slow that you just go in, you climb somewhere, and you dive on them. You know, and of course, everything changes differently. You'll go after one target, and there's nobody around them, and the next thing you know, when you get to them, now there's four people, and you get shot down because you get picked on by four. But you know, so it's constantly changing all the time. And I'm not like, oh, I don't want to get killed. It's not like it's your real life that's on it. You don't want to be suicidal. I don't want to hit anybody in midair. You know, that's just kind of a waste. I'm gonna install these first, and then once they're installed, I'll dribble the glue in there because I don't want this post melting ahead of time, and that's what happened with the other one. Is I put the stuff there and it started melting too soon, and the next thing you know, you don't have a post. So we'll put all these where they need to go, and then we'll dribble the glue on it. But you kind of, you just have to freaking do it. And I like playing all the stuff, and I want to unlock all the things, you know. Don just shot up there, oh, I want to play the higher tier planes, because he's been playing for like 10 years or something like that. So I'm going with him, and I'm forcing him to play stuff that's dumb. It's a lower level, dumb level. But you can't appreciate the better stuff if you didn't play the things that were crappy at the beginning. So almost all the planes are decent, built out. And that's the one thing that I asked him. I said, okay, because there's all these, you added a compressor and you added something like that. And it supposedly the game really prides itself on being really realistic. Like, all right, well, what I want to know is the plane dumbed down? Is that how the plane really behaves? Or is it the way it behaves after you get it built out? In other words, are you getting the basic plane, you're adding all this extra stuff the plane didn't have to make it perform better? Or are you just getting the stupid version of it up front? And he says it's the stupid version that you get. I said, okay, well, that's good. The plane is a lot of fun. Is the Messerschmitt that didn't make it, the Heinkel 210. There's a version of it that has two 7.92 millimeter machine guns, so the standard size machine gun, and then two 20 millimeter cannons, and it's pretty maneuverable. It's got a gull wing. That's a cool plane. That's a cool plane for the Germans. Haven't played any of the French yet. I played the Italians, British, Americans, Russians. Russians are pretty far along. There was like some task I needed to do or something where I needed to do Russian, so I banged on them for a while. Okay, there's that, and then we'll add this as an afterthought. Aside there. Isn't there arcade mode? And there's a simulator mode. I have played realism. It's not too difficult. It's not too bad. Simulator, you need a joystick, is what I've heard. And actually, they say that if you have a joystick playing at the other two levels, that you're at a disadvantage. But the mouse aim, you can be pretty precise with the mouse. You come in all right, take a shot. Something doesn't have a lot of rounds, you kind of plink at them. If they're not doing a lot of maneuvering, but you got to show restraint to do stuff like that. And sometimes, in the heat of battle, well, we're not always restrained, are we? All right, I'm concerned about this track. Let's see how close it is to fitting. I think the tanks on realism that's how I've been playing them. They're better. But again, the problem with the tanks is where's all the infantry? But that game is really geared towards people spending extra money to get stuff. Because there's a lot of stuff just camouflage schemes you can't get unless you buy them. And there's some tasks you can do and you can eventually get them, but it's really geared towards people spending money on it. Is the arcade? Nah, it's not too unrealistic. That's what we mainly play. Actually, I've never played the realistic planes with him. It's always the arcade. The worst thing about the arcade is that you got a HUD up all the time. It gives you too much information about other planes. All right. So if this was glued together, the other unrealistic thing about planes is you run out of ammo. You could just press the R button and it'll reload it. Now you got to wait a little bit of time. In the realistic one with the planes, you only get one plane. This one you can play as many times as you have slots for, which you start off with 5, and that's what I have because I'm not spending money on slots. Man, how close is this to fitting? I'm gonna have to wait for this to dry. This is a close call right here. Yeah, see this broke off. This is exactly the way the running gear was on the Hetzer. It was a pain in the ass because of it being too soft. All right, hold on a second. I'll be right back. Oh, you used some white glue instead of hot glue, and it has killed my momentum waiting for it to dry. Yeah. White glue sucks for that. The hot glue is awesome. It is a momentum keeper. Be right back. All right. Well, we're gonna put this for. I'm gonna let this sit, harden up a little bit, and then this track I may end up using hot glue and just leaving the bottom of it open. The hot glue works really good for that, and you get immediate results. So that's how I ended up having to put on the King Kong together, whose tracks really didn't work on there. But I'm going to set this off to the side. By the way, did that solve the spur goo issue? Let's see if this... Yeah, we need to... Whoa! I wasn't expecting that. it's softening up. It took a little bit of time. Next time we get back to this, I'm sure this will be working just fine. All right, folks. Well, that's it for this one. We will see you guys on the next one. Bye-bye.